change today. Getting the chassis lubed up. Today is check up on your truck day. So we'll be plugging in the computer and getting some specific parameters on what's going on, how the engine's running, and I'll share that with you guys. Yeah, so far so good. Getting all the filters done. Getting the old girl washed up now. She done got her oil change, she got all greased up, and we'll be on to the next. Alright guys, part 2 of checking up on your truck. Checkup time. So, going over my truck, and one of the things that I do is every so many months I actually do a hard computer checkup. And the reason you want to do that is because even if you don't have the software and you don't have it, you can go to a reputable shop and have them plug in so you can read the live data. And the reason you want to do that is because you can actually see what the computer is seeing. You can see the stored data, even if there's no check engine light on or anything like that, because everything doesn't make a check engine light come on. Doesn't necessarily mean that there's not something that needs to be addressed. With that being said, one of the things that I always go to is I check my fuel economy every few months to make sure that my fuel economy is staying at average. Why is that? Well, if your fuel economy starts to drop, or you're noticing that you're burning more fuel than usual, it's time to start looking into what could be the problem. How would you know that unless you do a hard diagnostic check? So I'm going to show you guys right now what's involved in that and how I do it. And this is just a part of the checkup. So if we look, let me see if I can zoom out. I guess I'll zoom back in, guys. So if you look here, I go in here and I select out of the menu. Select out of the menus. And I'll come down over here and follow the finger. And it says average fuel economy. Right here, average fuel economy, eco. So when I look at my average fuel economy, the value is 6.4 miles to the gallon is what my average is. And then it says my momentary fuel economy, and then we're going to bring this over. Hang on. Average fuel economy for my Diag is 6.4 also. So basically that's just saying that with the Diag, when it's running Diag, what is it noticing? So that point fraction of a point, it's not even that much of a change. And I've put 100, right almost at 100,000 miles on this truck since I got it. So in 100,000 miles, my fuel economy is still 6.4. That says a lot about what's going on inside of the engine, and all the filters being clean, and the DEF system as well. So these are things you need to know, because if you don't know what your computer is actually saying about your fuel economy, and you don't know if it's dropping or not, that would tell you a lot. Like, let's say, you know, maybe you need some filters changed, you might need to look at some bearings, you might need to look at different sensors or things in the engine related to your fuel economy. Now see, I have 3 trouble codes. They're the same codes that have been on here since I got it, and I know what it is. One of them was for a light, and another one is for a sensor that's not actually in the truck, that didn't have the truck. Something to do with the programming. So I know that there's not an issue. You can see that there's no check engine lights on the truck. So again, this is why you want to know that you know that you know. So now I can go in here and look at my depth filters again. So we'll go into actions, after treatment, and then we will look for our ash accumulator, and this will tell me how full my filters are. So I'm at 71.5 on my ash filter, so it's getting time to get ready to start changing those DEF filters. So I'm going to keep riding them out. I might wait till I'm about 80, 85, and then I'll go ahead and change those. So, and then we can go into here and just kind of look at different things. Look at our optimized idle and our battery voltage looking good. So our alternator's doing good. This is our oil pressure, our oil temperature rather, I'm sorry, 205, that's good. And then we can go into, let's see where our after treatment is. All instruments, service routines, and looking at our quantity control valve, looks good. We're at 243 on the quantity control. Idle speed is looking good. Water in the fuel. Coolant temperature is looking good at 196. And then last but not least, let's see, look at our SCR system. Our NOxes are out. This is for your DEF system. These are all showing negative out, and that is because we're not in regen mode, so that is normal. Oil pressure, it says 20, almost 21 at idle, which is great. And looking at it on the dash, looks like it's just about right, about 20. That's where it should be. So that's another way to just kind of confirm that things matches with the gauges. And like I said, our temperature was showing, our engine coolant temp was showing 196. Yeah, we're just at 196, almost just tapping 200. So that's going to conclude it for my check. And then, you know, the typical stuff you check up under your hood. I guess I could show you guys. I mean, some of you guys should already know that stuff, but the main thing was to show you why you need to have it plugged in at least once every few months to keep check on that fuel, at least at bare minimum. Keep an eye on your miles to the gallon. All right, so we'll go ahead and pop the hood and go over a few things with you guys. So things that I normally check under here are my dryer. Sometimes it's, you know, I'll write the date on it, but you guys know I log everything in my computer, so I know when I did this. So we just had the oil change. This time I had this changed. I don't have this changed. This is your water separator. I don't generally have this change every time I do the oil. I just look at the condition of it, and then I base my analogy on that, or I'll look at the mileage from when the last time I had it changed. So I'll add that in to my report list today when I get home and go everything. A lot of guys don't know that there is a filter in here for your power steering fluid. You should change this thing at least 50 to 100,000 miles. It's a little teeny filter inside of here for your power steering. So sometimes when your power steering is winding, it's just because you need to change that filter. That filter's so clogged. Everybody keeps seeing it get low, and they'll just open this up and keep filling up the fluid, and it's not helping the situation because the filter is clogged. So there is a filter in there, and sometimes you can take this off and you won't see it because it done deteriorated and fell off in there, and you'll see the filter down in there if you stick a screwdriver or a hand or something in your finger or whatever in there and see. Be warned, don't do it when it's hot. Do not do this when you shut the truck off and stick your finger in there. I'm not telling anybody to stick their finger in there. Okay, so I'll check that. I'll look at miscellaneous plugs like my coolant temperature wiring and things like that. Things that you check every so many months that you're not really paying attention to on a normal, you know, pitman arms, things like that, grease fittings. The fuel filters are changed when you do the oil change, or at least they should be. And then the other thing would be your DEF filter. There is and I say DEF filter, I mean the DEF fluid filter. That's where you fill up your in your tank, in your DEF tank. There is a filter in there under the bottom of the tank in the back. There is a little filter. Every 100,000 miles is recommended to change that filter. I know at least on Detroit and Cascadia, but I mean DEF system is DEF system. The fluid all breaks down at the same time, so I don't really care what model or truck you're driving, but change that DEF filter. And actually mines need to be changed, so I'll be changing that on my next go run when I come back home, because I gotta put the truck in the shop to get the rear brakes done, and probably the front brakes too. I might get them all done. Well, the front looks pretty good, so looks like we'll be doing the rear. And I just got it greased. You can see the grease and fittings down there. You got grease down there. So it's just little things. I might not get every little thing, guys, but I'm trying to give you guys a good general idea of when you do that computer checkup, things you should look for. Some guys need to check their ash accumulator, especially guys that got their trucks deleted. Your ash accumulator, you want to check that, because that will clog up on you and cause all kinds of problems. How do you get into checking that? It's multiple ways. For the sake of the video, we won't go on that right now, maybe at another video. The dozer injector, for the guys who are not deleted, goes behind the turbo and runs up in there. It's a little right here. That's your dozer injector. Every 100,000 miles, you need to pull that injector out of there and take a screwdriver or something and clean it out, spray some carb clean in there. And what that does is it injects diesel into your exhaust to get the temperature up hot enough so that the catalyzation for your DEF can burn off efficiently, brings the exhaust temperature up. And what happens is a lot of times that'll get clogged, and they'll start throwing your codes in there for your DEF system not hot enough or low efficiency because it's not getting enough diesel fluid in there. Coolant bottle, you know, every 50, 100,000 miles, this plastic is cheap and it will leak and crack on you. Mine is actually leaking, so I have to change that. And miscellaneous bypass hoses on DD15s, they use some of these are plastic and some of these are metal, these Y connectors for your various heater lines that run into the sleeper. You know, there's a couple back there. Check these little connections where hoses tie into each other. Like, some of these things are plastic, some of these things are rusty, and they'll start springing leaks on you and you just have a headache. You don't want to blow up your engine or blow a head gasket. And that's just a little tidbit on that, y'all, you know. And I'm gonna go ahead and cut it out of here, man. I'm tired and it's been a long day. It's your boy QDZ, Double Easy, all about semis.